Hi, it's Laura from the Charleston Holistic Center, and I have an intriguing trio for this discussion today. So, the cards I pulled were Knowledge, the Nine of Air, and the Seven of Earth. Now, Knowledge and the Nine of Air combine really nicely, and we'll see how the Seven of Earth gets tucked in there to help us figure out the answers to some questions. So, knowledge. Knowledge calls us to examine our knowledge or lack thereof. Yeah, And it asks us to study and question. Okay, particularly the brules that we have going on in our head. Study and question. But there is a caveat here. Knowledge is not the same as gossip. It's not, okay? That's not what we're talking about. We're being entreated to learn from experts, not some John Doe on TikTok who's come up with some anecdote about something or other. No offense to TikTok. Not some Russian or Chinese bots on Facebook or Instagram. Again, no offense to those platforms. Knowledge, true knowledge, is not some guy or gal who said that they saw something one time about something. That's not what we're talking about here. That's not an expert on a topic. I always say, if you're researching something, if you're studying something, if who you're studying from and what you're learning from would not be accepted as a source by your high school English teacher for a paper, then why are you believing it? Okay, there's a reason why your high school English teacher had a certain low threshold for sources, because they need to be credible. And just to let you know, none of the social media platforms are considered credible sources unless you're trying to illustrate the gullibility of people, or maybe the inanity of things out there, or maybe a crime related to 1/6/21. But I digress. Knowledge is about advancing ourselves in the world. Someone took knowledge and made everything around you right now that isn't part of the natural world. And let me help you understand that there's only a really tiny bit of stuff around you that's actually part of the natural world, and how much knowledge has been used to advance humanity. I'm going to ask you, have you eaten any fruit? Any time in your life? Have you eaten any soy products? Oh wait, if you've eaten something processed, you've probably eaten a soy product. But have you eaten tofu or something like that? Have you eaten any meat from a grocery store? Or off your farm? Okay, so not talking like venison or something like that. But if you've eaten any of those things, you've eaten something that humanity used their knowledge to create. All of those are created. They were not the original form from the natural world. Okay? Any domesticated anything, not the original form from the natural world. So all of it, what you're watching me on right now, how I created this, all was from knowledge. Knowledge is important. We have gone into a place where knowledge has become poo-pooed, where the base understanding has become something to deride. But these cards are asking us to please go in and learn, go in and check our knowledge. And what we do with our knowledge is super important. True story. Where I grew up in the large town where we went to grocery shop and all of that, at one point, and this is more than 45 years ago, an electric car company started. Yes, more than 45 years ago, electric car company. The price of gas was really high at the time. It was a mid-1970s oil crisis, and the price of gas had skyrocketed. And the company produced some cars, but then the price of gas went back down. And from what I understand, the investment went away, the want for it went away. And this is more than 45 years ago. What would our world be like if we had stuck with that? And why don't you know that there was an electric car company 45 years ago in upstate New York? You can't even find it on the internet. Squashed. Knowledge was squashed. And this is why I say what we do with our knowledge is really important. Were they a fabulous cars? No, I really don't think they were fabulous cars. But did they exist? Can you find out about them? Interestingly, no. Where would our world be if that knowledge had grown at that time instead of declined? Now, I fully understand, because I fully understand climate. Well, no, nobody fully understands climate science, but I have studied climate science. So I understand that cars, electric cars, you're transferring some of emissions and all of that from a local thing to a concentrated source. But I also have to remind you that there's a lot of places in the country where you do not have emissions on cars, but we have had Clean Air Act, at least in the United States, emissions on power plants. So but what we do with our knowledge is important. It's vital to our survival, but it's also important to our thrival. Yeah, I just made up that word. What are you prepared to learn? Are you learning from a credible source? How do you plan to use your new knowledge or the knowledge you currently have? Are you going to better yourself? Are you going to make a better world? These are always my two things when I think about doing pretty much anything. Are you gonna learn about yourself? Because a prime tenet in most spiritual traditions pretty much says know thyself. It's number one thing. So in what ways will we learn about what's going on in your mind? How are we going to figure out what biases, what brules you've got stuck in your head? How will we uncover what has taken up residence in your mind? Thoughts create emotions, and the two create our reality. So how are we going to take your new learning, your knowledge, and what you've got going on in your mind to recreate your world into a better place? And this is where the Seven of Earth comes in. So, because the Seven of Earth is meditation, grounding, and connection. That's what it's about. And so, when you meditate, you can ground at the same time, and you can connect to whatever you consider to be outside of yourself as a divine influence. Meditation is always about learning. Okay, you're always learning to do that better. So there's part of our knowledge is learning that. And maybe you're not doing it so well right now. So learning that, really key skill. And then there's practice. We practice meditation hopefully every day. Okay, it's practice. You work on it. You figure out how it fits in your life. And the great thing about doing meditation is that it allows you to get some of those answers to the questions I just asked. Like, what is going on in your mind? What is holding you back? What are your biases? What thoughts have taken up residence there that are keeping you in a state that is just plain survival? So meditation can help take and create the answers so that you can shift your life and recreate the world, your world, into a better place. But what if you're not really sure how to do all this? What if you work on it for yourself for a little bit and you don't have a lot of success? Well, that's where someone like myself, a coach who does transformation for people, that's what I work on. That's where I help you work this process. That's where a coach helps you come in and fit this in your life and help you sort through what's going on in your head. All right, that is holding you back, that is keeping you from thriving. Because what we want you to do is work through the questions. We want to help you create a plan to recreate your world into a much better place and discover how truly magnificent you are. So, go out there and learn something. Uncover something new about yourself and find out how truly magnificent you are. Thank you and namaste.